Most people think that their diagnosis is the reason love isn't showing up, but it's not. It's actually their energy. And until you fix that, nothing changes. So today, I want to talk about why your vibration is either working for you or against you, what it means to stop chasing love and actually attract it, and what it takes to go from settling to being completely magnetic. Hi, I'm Dupree, and I help people to navigate life with herpes. And if you've been living like your diagnosis is the end of the road for what's possible for you, whether that's in love, in connection, or in the life you actually want, this episode is going to challenge that. Because what I've learned and what I see over and over again in the people that I work with is that the biggest thing standing between them and the life that they want isn't their diagnosis. It's the story they're telling themselves about what their diagnosis means. And that story has a vibration. It has an energy, and that energy is what the universe responds to. So today, we're going to break that down in 3 parts. We're going to talk about what vibration actually is and why it matters more than your circumstances. We're going to look at the difference between being magnetic and being desperate, and why most people after a diagnosis fall into desperation without even knowing it. And then we're going to talk about what it looks like to take aligned action. Not action from fear, but from a place of real confidence and self-worth. And at the end, I'm going to share 5 things you can start doing right now to raise your vibration, reclaim your worth, and your confidence so that you can start attracting the life that you actually want. Here's the problem. After a diagnosis, most people go into hiding. They stop reaching out, they stop opening up, and they stop taking chances. They tell themselves it's easier this way, that it's safer to keep people out than to risk getting hurt. But here's what's actually happening. That safety eventually becomes your comfort zone, and comfort zones don't get you anywhere, and they don't attract anything new. And the longer you stay in it, the smaller your world gets. Now, here's what I want you to understand about vibration. I know you've heard this term a lot, and many people talk about it, right? Even Nikola Tesla said that everything comes down to energy, frequency, and vibration, and science actually backs this up. Now, you may be thinking, I can't change the fact that I have herpes, so how the hell does raising my vibration actually help me? Well, I'll tell you how it helps. First, you should know that we're not talking about manifesting a perfect life where everyone says yes to you. I mean, let's face it, that's completely unrealistic. People may still say no, and that's the reality of having herpes. Look, when I first started my own healing journey, I thought that vibration was some woo-woo concept and that I had completely lost control over my life. But what I eventually learned is that vibration is essentially the energy you carry into every situation, even when someone says no to you. For example, if someone says no to you and you walk away with your tail tucked between your legs and you allow that to deplete your energy and to follow you into every conversation afterwards, people can feel that. And that energy is what you're putting out into the world. It tells people how to treat you. It tells the universe what to send you. And it determines who and what gets put in your path. And if that energy is rooted in fear, in the belief that you're damaged, that love is harder for you now, that you have to work twice as hard just to be chosen, that's what you're going to keep attracting, which are more situations that confirm exactly what you already believe. Abraham Hicks, one of the most well-known teachers on the law of attraction, says it best. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. And by the way, if you've never heard of Abraham Hicks, I suggest you look it up on YouTube. What Abraham talks about is extremely enlightening, and the teachings helped me and millions of others understand that what you focus on and what you believe is possible for you is exactly what you're going to attract into your life. Because the universe isn't responding to what you wish for. It's responding to what you actually believe is possible for you. So here's the challenge most people face. They want love, but they're operating from fear. They want connection, but they're hiding. They want to be chosen, but they've already decided they won't be. And you can't attract what you want from that place. If you believe that your diagnosis is the reason love isn't available to you, that is exactly what you're going to keep experiencing. But if you believe that love is absolutely possible for you, that your diagnosis is just one small part of your story, then that's the energy you're putting out into the world, and that's what the universe is going to respond to. Because the moment you stop leading with fear and start leading with confidence, and stop wondering if someone will accept you, and start deciding who deserves access to you, that's when things begin to change. Now let's talk about what happens when fear is in charge, because this is where most people are, and they don't even know it. After my diagnosis, I found myself chasing love out of fear. Fear that no one would ever accept me, and fear that my options had become limited to whoever would just tolerate my condition. And when you're operating from that kind of fear, you settle. You hold on to people who don't treat you right, because at least they didn't run, and you convince yourself that that's good enough. But that's not love. That's desperation dressed up as gratitude. Now, here's the thing about desperation. It's not just a feeling. It's a frequency that people can feel, and the universe responds to it. And what the universe sends back is more situations that confirm your worst fears, more people who treat you like you're lucky to have them, more relationships that feel one-sided, and more evidence that your belief was right all along. Dr. Wayne Dyer put it simply, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So if you are fear, you attract more reasons to be afraid. If you are worth, you attract people who confirm that worth. The question is, which one are you being right now? Here's what I see a lot. After a diagnosis, people start treating acceptance of their condition as the gold standard for a relationship. Like if someone doesn't run away when they find out, that's a win, and that's enough. I've done this many times, and trust me when I tell you, it's not enough. Acceptance of your diagnosis is the bare minimum. It's the entry point, not the prize. Real love looks like respect, honesty, and consistency. It looks like someone who shows up, communicates, and chooses you, not just tolerates you. So the next time you catch yourself getting excited because someone didn't run when you told them about your condition, instead of feeling grateful that they want you, I want you to ask yourself, do they deserve me? That one question changes the entire dynamic. It puts the power back in your hands where it belongs. Because when you know your worth, you stop running after what's not meant for you. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never going to stay anyway. And you stop shrinking yourself to make someone else comfortable. Instead, you become magnetic. And magnetic people don't chase. They don't beg for acceptance, and they don't over-explain or over-give just to prove they're worthy of being chosen. They simply show up as themselves and let that be enough. So, we've talked about vibration, and we talked about being magnetic. But here's where a lot of people get it wrong. They think that if they just feel better about themselves, if they just change their mindset, the right people will magically appear. But that's not how it works. Mindset is the foundation, but you still have to build on it. And there's a big difference between the action you take from fear and the action you take from a place of confidence. Fear-based action looks like this. You blow up someone's phone because you're terrified they're pulling away. You over-explain your diagnosis to make it easier for someone to accept you. You lower your standards because you're afraid that having standards will leave you alone. And you keep people in your life who drain you because removing them feels lonelier than staying. Confident action, on the other hand, looks completely different. It's the choices you make that match the life you say you want, not the life you're afraid of having. David Bayer says it this way: you can't think your way into a new life. You have to live your way into a new way of thinking. So, what does that actually look like? It looks like doing a relationship audit, looking at the people in your life, partners, friends, even family, and asking yourself honestly, is this person here because they genuinely value me or because I was afraid to let them go? Because hanging on to low-value connections doesn't keep you where you are. It keeps your vibration at the frequency of this is all I deserve. So that's what you keep getting more of. It also looks like cleaning house, not in just your relationships, but in how you spend your time, what you consume, and how you talk to yourself, and what you tolerate in your daily life. All of it is communicating to the universe that what you believe you're worth. And it looks like catching yourself before you chase, before you over-explain, before you make yourself small. You stop yourself and you ask, am I about to act from fear or from worth? Because that moment is where you get to choose, and it looks like becoming the person you want to attract. You want someone real? Be real. You want someone confident? Carry yourself with confidence. You want someone who communicates, who shows up, who has their shit together? Then start being that person in your own life first. The law of attraction isn't waiting for you to want the right things. It's responding to who you are being right now. And the universe has no choice but to deliver based on what you're putting out through your actions. Everything is an ask. Your habits are an ask. Your standards are an ask. And the way you talk about yourself is an ask. So make sure you ask for what you actually want. Because what you do every single day is either building the life you want or keeping you from it. The choice is yours. So before we wrap up, here are 5 things that you can put into practice to raise your vibration and become more magnetic. 1, do a vibration check. Ask yourself right now, am I operating from fear or from worth in how you talk about your diagnosis and how you show up in relationships and in what you're tolerating? If the honest answer is fear, that's okay, because awareness is the foundation that everything else that follows is built on. 2, do a relationship audit. Look at who's in your life and ask, is this person here because they genuinely value me or because I was afraid of losing them? Look, you don't have to make any big decisions today. Just get honest about what's true, because you can't attract better while you're settling for what no longer serves you. 3, flip the question. Every time you catch yourself wondering, do they want me? Replace it with, do they deserve me? That one question keeps the power where it belongs, which is in your hands. 4, catch yourself. Before you chase, text first, over-explain, or make yourself small for someone else's comfort, stop. Give yourself a moment to choose from confidence instead of fear. 5, do one thing today that matches the energy of the life you want, not the energy of the life that you convinced yourself you have to settle for. Because you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So become the person who already knows their worth, who believes love is available to them, and lives like it's already done. The universe will eventually catch up to that energy, and it has no choice but to mirror your new reality back to you. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope that this was helpful. And if you haven't subscribed yet, whether you're listening on audio or watching on YouTube, be sure to do that so that you don't miss out on future episodes. Also, if you are tired of navigating your condition alone, come join us at Herpes Wellness. Our free membership gives you access to a private community with forums where you can ask questions, seek advice, and you can also help other members along their journeys. And if you're ready for more connection, our paid membership gives you full access to the community, including a group and love connection chat lounge with AI matchmaking, direct messaging with other members, plus a bunch of other really cool features. You'll also get access to my 10-part series, Shift Your Mindset About Herpes. Now, this is the same series featured on the podcast, but now I'm taking each part and I'm turning it into live monthly workshops so you can apply what you're learning in real time so that you could start seeing real changes in how you think and you feel and how you move through life. Also, if you want support on the go, you can download the Herpes Wellness app for free, which is available in both the App Store and in Google Play. The links to our website and the app are in the description. And if you're concerned about privacy, we've got you totally covered. The app icon and push notifications say H Wellness. So if someone happens to see your screen, you won't disclose your status unintentionally. And if you're enjoying the podcast or if you have something you'd like to share, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you the next time on the Herpes Wellness Podcast. Bye for now.